Well, hello there, my fellow rushers. How you been doing today? KingRix here. And today we're gonna be doing something very special. This one has been in the works for quite a few months, and it's finally here. Basically, me and Voduke decided to make a hero rework, where we pick some heroes from any Kingdom Rush game which we think of as underwhelming or bad or, straight up outclassed by the rest of the heroes. And we reworking them, making them better and more interesting to play with. He picked Mirage and I picked Ashbite. Now, this was meant to, originally we were thinking about making it into one big video, but we decided to split them up. So if you want to see him reading my Ashbite hero rework, I will definitely link his video down to the description so you can go ahead and check him out, watch it in full, like, subscribe, hit the bell, donate him some money, you know how it goes. And yeah, I'll be reading his rework of Mirage, which is surprisingly short. As you can see, there's not really much to go for, so my video is definitely going to be a little bit short in comparison to his, because I was able to write down quite a few things. But I'm not gonna spoil it, because, you still have to watch his video. And yeah, let's check out the stats with Voduke voice. She'll have 300 HP, which is unchanged. Her health rate is 45 from 38, which was an ugly number. Range damage 15 to 25 from 16 to 23, also ugly. Attack rate once every 0.6 seconds, which is unchanged. Range 300. Melee damage 15 to 25, to match ranged. Attack rate once every 1 second. Armor none. Speed same as with max upgrades. Respawn 15 seconds. Well, pretty good stats. I don't see too many changes, like sure the health rate is a little bit increased, and her damage is changed. It's not too different, like still her average DPS, at least with her ranged attacks, is gonna be 33.3, which is good. Her melee damage is gonna be only 20, so you definitely want to use her more in range, using her ranged attacks more than her melee attacks. At least that's what it looks like on the surface. Her respawn rate is the same. I think no, everything seems fine. Like the stats aren't too much tweaked. I would say that he just made her slightly better. Definitely having more health rate, better health rate is pretty good, and of course slightly higher damage. So yeah, decent changes. I would say that it's okay. She still has a kind of meh DPS, like in comparison to the other free heroes like Ulrich and Bruxa, but she's definitely better than Cronan, at least by judging by the looks of it. Now let's get on with the skills and see what he changed about them. Lethal Strike is gonna have 16 seconds cooldown, which is pretty much the same as her regular Lethal Strike. She will teleport behind her melee target or the enemy with the highest HP, so that's good. She will have smart targeting now. I like it. I like heroes that have smart targeting on really strong abilities, like, for example, with Vesnan's insta-kill, the Soulburn. Usually he'll prioritize tough enemies over crowds of enemies. Let's say we have like a Org Magi surrounded by like, I don't know, let's say 8 Gnollers. He'll insta-kill the Org Magi, not the Gnollers, which is very smart, and I like that. So yeah, let's continue to deliver a strike dealing the greater of 100, 200 and then 300 true damage, or 10, 20 and 30% of the target's max HP. So that's good. Now her Lethal Strike is gonna be slightly stronger. I mean, on average, if we're talking about like average true damage, or at least per second, that's good. I mean, it's kind of weird to make the average DPS on abilities, but I come up with a result of 18.75, which it's okay, I guess. I think. And now for the 30%, for that 30%, the 30% of, the second part, I will assume it works like her insta-kill chance. So whenever she performs the Lethal Strike, she'll have 25% chance to take away 30% of the target's max HP, which is interesting change. I would say the insta-kill was better, but still that's a pretty good amount of damage, and it will make you think about aiming towards the toughest enemies. Like if you have a Brute, if you have like Bloodshell, Bluegale, Abomination, you name it. I would prefer the insta-kill, but still, that's still pretty good amount of damage. 30% of the enemy's HP just gone. That's nice. So yeah, and 300 true damage, that's slightly higher. I think originally she dealt 240, so that's nice. Having more rounded number, I like it. Pretty decent ability. Now for the Shadow Dance. It has 12 seconds cooldown, which I think is slightly shorter, maybe it's a little bit longer. I think Shadow Dance used to have a little bit like 11 seconds cooldown, so 1 second longer. Now it's still gonna take 1 second longer for the ability to charge, which, okay. Now Mirage conjures 2, 3, 4 illusions directly in front of the enemies, dealing 20, 30 and then 43 damage each. I feel like this ability is not changed like all that much, it's just the cooldown. The cooldown is a little bit higher, which doesn't make sense to me, but alright. It's not a terrible ability, it's just... I would have buffed it a little bit more. At least, that's what I would have done. Now here we go with the interesting abilities. These two, kind of... I mean, the Little Strike is nice, I would definitely give it that, but the Shadow Dance is kinda meh. At least for the changes that he have done. Now for these three abilities though, they're pretty interesting. Starting off with Shiv, which is actually one of Azra's abilities in Legends of Kingdom Rush, so nice reference. It's a passive ability, which is gonna allow Mirage's first melee attack to on an enemy to deal 15, 13 and 45 damage and ignoring armor. So that's pretty good. So it's plus. So she's gonna do 45 true damage on top of her 20 average DPS. So let's say she deals like 20 damage, 20 physical damage and then 45 true damage. That's pretty good. That's pretty decent. And I wonder if you can abuse it. Like, let's say you move her in, let her deliver her first attack to perform the shift, then move out of combat, and then come back to the same enemy and attack him again. I wonder if this is stackable, because if it is, holy crap, she'll actually do quite a heavy amount of damage. But it's interesting because that way you're playing risky with her, you know? Because she has no armor and only 300 HP, you have to be careful with this Shiv ability. You need to be quick and vigilant when you're using the Shiv, which is pretty nice. You know, if that was on some like bulky hero, this will be pretty OP, but because she has only 300 HP, you have to be pretty quick with that ability. You need to just hit and run, which is a pretty good tactic. Now for the next ability, Assassin's Counter. It's a passive ability. When struck, Mirage has a 10, 20 and 30% chance to trigger Lethal Strike. That's very good, but she cannot do it in more than 2, 3 and then 4 times within 16 seconds. So that's interesting. Now, if you're using the Shiv effectively and you're putting her in melee combat, if she takes damage she can perform this ability, which is good. That's a lot of damage but I don't know, like she has very low HP, but she has a good health rate. Like her playstyle is pretty weird now. Instead of keeping her in the back shooting away from the outskirts like the original Mirage, now you have to be pretty creative with her. You know, you have to put her in the front, start attacking, engaging in melee combat, maybe letting her take damage in order to trigger Assassin's Counter. That's pretty dope. And in order for it to not be too broken, he put a limit to it. She cannot perform it more than 4 times within 16 seconds. So that's pretty interesting, preventing it from being too broken. I like it. And also I forgot to mention the last ability, You and Me, which is another passive, which is nice. All of Mirage's attacks deal 10, 15 and 20% more damage to her target if she is closer to it than any other unit. Now that's an interesting change. So 20% more damage, that means on average her ranged attack will do about 40 damage, I think? Somewhere around there, around 40 damage rounded up, which is not bad. That's pretty decent amount of physical damage dealt. But it's risky because she has low HP and no armor. Overall, I would say I liked her playstyle now. If that was her playstyle in real life, I would definitely play with her more often because she's now, instead of being a stationary hero where you just put her in there and let her shoot away from the outskirts, now you have to be active with her. You have to move her around the map a lot. You have to be precise with which enemy you're going to be targeting with the Lethal Strike. You have to be, precise with your micro in order to perform as many shifts as possible. And also maybe sometimes letting her take damage is good because she can use her Assassin's Counter and perform the Lethal Strike again, which is gonna be pretty nice, especially if you're fighting some really tough enemies. You can just annihilate them, which is pretty interesting. And the You and Me ability, I like it. It's definitely better for her damage, but now you have to keep her in front of every one of your units, which is pretty hard, especially on levels where you have to use a lot of barracks. So yeah, overall, I would say she will be definitely more interesting if that's what her playstyle was. I'll definitely like it. And yeah, I'll give her probably 7 out of 10. If that was the way she worked, I'll definitely give her a 7 out of 10. Pretty good. The only thing that I have to complain about, it's nothing about the statistics or anything, it's just I hate the fact that he forgot to mention some lore. Come on, if we're doing a hero rework, I want to see at least a little bit of lore, just a wee bit. You know, you don't have to go all out like me, because let me tell you, the lore that I wrote for Ashbite's, my Ashbite's hero rework was pretty long. And yeah, I'm not gonna spoil what it is, you have to go ahead and check Voduke's video first. And yeah guys, I know this video was a little bit short, but you know, Voduke just didn't give me a lot to work with, so yeah. Like, in conclusion, Mirage is pretty decent now. If that was what she was in reality, she'll be definitely good. Having a good having a good health rate per second, having a pretty decent physical damage due to the UNB ability, performing a lot of true damage abilities, but you have to be risky. She has a risky playstyle, which is something that I like. It's kind of like with other heroes that are, well, she's kind of like a ghost cannon now in a way, but without the stalling power. I would say she's pretty decent, yeah. She's good. She's very good. She's very good indeed. Alright then, well, with that out of the way, that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you everybody so much for watching, I appreciate you for sticking around to the end. Subscribe if you want to see more of this content in the future, and while you're at it, drop a like on the video, it means a lot to me. And also subscribe to Voduke, because he's awesome. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Until it comes, that was King Rexy, over and out.